Hey, bro, when you're telling the truth, you're telling the truth.
Women are living to 85 if you make it to 65. Men are living to 83 if you make it to 65. That's 20 years on the public dime.
When you're talking about, hold on, when you're talking about the government paying, you're talking about Social Security,
Yes.
which is people's money.
I promise you, the amount that people are taking out is not the amount that is going in, which is why we are going bankrupt.
I real recognize what he's saying is true. Now, y'all know how I feel about Ben Shapiro to a certain degree. I'm still bitter at how he treated my sister Candace Owens. I'm not saying that he was right or wrong, but the treatment was wrong. The way he did it was wrong. That's all I'm saying. I just got to throw that out there. But hey, bro, when you're telling the truth, you're telling the truth. I real recognize what he's saying is true on this show.
I mean, the life expectancy, if you make it to 65 and you're a dude, is now 83. So the real question that I was asking is, when should the government pay you to retire? Which is a sort of a different question than when should you retire. When you should retire is sort of a personal question, and also depends on your definition of retirement. I don't think that, if your goal is to be 65 and sitting on a beach for the rest of your life doing nothing, that the social science tends to say that's not very good for you. You actually should be involved in your community and get involved and still have a side job and all the rest of that. But if we really believe that we can't raise the retirement age and we're never going to change that, we will go bankrupt. And all the talk about cutting at the margins, whatever Doge is doing, that's not going to touch the real driver of the systemic debt in the United States. Women are living to 85 if you make it to 65. Men are living to 83 if you make it to 65. That's 20 years on the public dime.
When you're talking about, hold on, when you're talking about the government paying, you're talking about Social Security,
Yes.
which is people's money.
Well, it is not the money you paid in.
It's the system that they pay into.
Well, no,
you're never paycheck stub.
Yes, but believe me, I pay a lot.
I'm not trying to be funny about women. I love women, but sometimes I wonder, are some of these women they putting on TV, are they qualified? They are laughing at Ben Shapiro and mocking him at the idea that you put your money in. That's not how it works, dummy. You don't put your money into something and you get your money back in 65 years or whatever, 50, 40 years, depending on when you start actually working on a job and paying into it. That's not how it works, dummy. And you're making fun of him and laughing at him, and the two women, the only two on the show, going, we pay into the system. That's not how it works. Why y'all so stupid? What's going on, y'all? I want to stop for a minute and talk about Ground.News just real quick, because this is the reason why I love Ground.News, and this is the reason, or at least the way I think everybody should view content. Everybody should view the news, is knowing where it came from. A lot of times you see headlines that say this or say that, but on Ground.News, you can tell exactly who's writing about it, what organizations are behind it, how it's being funded, and whether the right is talking about it, the left is talking about it. You can see with little indicators right here. But let's not forget about the blind spots, which I think is probably one of the most important things you can evaluate when you're looking at the news cycle, right? So you see over here, if you look at the blind spot section, this is for the right, people on the right. This is for people on the left. Let's go down here and let's look at the Epstein situation. People on the right, when it comes to Epstein, or what people on the right are talking about, the left needs to be paying attention to, is that Representative Luna suggests that Epstein's sex trafficking operation was a lot bigger than what people would expect. Now, the left don't want to talk about that. I wonder why. You go over here, Jimmy Kimmel shares his views on Trump had Epstein killed rumor. Republicans don't want to talk about it, but you need to look and see what are they saying on the other side, so you can be informed, whether you are debating, whether you just need to know, kind of what your mama and them are going to be bringing up at the dinner. You got to be well versed when you're looking at media, and Ground.News is the only website that I trust that can make that happen. So make sure you guys subscribe through my link at ground.news/Tatum, or download the mobile app and use offer code Tatum for 40% off the unlimited Vantage plan to see through media bias and stay informed. Roll the clip.
Social Security. I don't know about
I promise you, the amount that people are taking out is not the amount that is going in, which is why we are going bankrupt.
Okay, but it's not the government just handing out a blank check.
No, it's the government borrowing money to pay.
Well,
you pay in X dollars, and then you get multiple times X dollars when you retire. That is how the system works. It is not a lockbox. This is what Al Gore was arguing about in 2000.
The other part of this, though, is at 65, right? I mean, yeah, you might be in great health, but many people are working hard jobs. They're on their feet.
It depends on what job.
I'm not saying if you're working back-breaking labor and your leg is falling off that you should be.
By the way, I just totally reject what you just said about how we're going bankrupt.
Here she go. The stupidest woman on the internet. I thought that she was turning the corner a little bit. But this Anna chick is the dumbest woman on the internet. The stuff she said about Israel is stupid and retarded. And listen to what she's saying here. Y'all listen to what she about to say. And you're on TV. Do a little research of your opposition's statements. So therefore you can have an actual statistical rebuttal and not just talk stupid on TV. Roll the clip.
Due to Social Security. Really, you don't think like the trillions of dollars we've spent on wars in the Middle East might have something to do with that?
It is not even
our
remotely
national
a percentage
debt.
of what we spend on Social
our
Security.
national debt shot up significantly after 9/11, after we started invading countries in the Middle East.
You should look at a chart of
now
our
we're at
national
30.
debt. In 2008,
we're spending
it went
hundreds of billions of dollars on Israel, on Ukraine. I mean,
Here you go.
honestly, these foreign conflicts have a lot more to do.
Pause. We spend hundreds of billions of dollars on Israel. Why she bring up Israel? Why she got to bring up Israel? Let me put this in perspective just real quick, and I'm going to let her get back to what she's saying. First and foremost, we've negotiated a 10-year deal to give Israel $3.8 billion a year for defense funding, right? They have to pay or have paid 75% of that money back to the American government, the American economy, because they have to buy our weapons, they have to buy our training, and all that other stuff. So over a generic year of $3.8 billion, they spend $2.8 billion in the American economy. That is the way we negotiated our spending and aid that we give them militarily. What are we saying? What are we saying? Why she bring up Israel with that fact being a thing? And Israel only receives 1%, roughly 1% of our GDP. 1%. And they give 75% of that 1% back to us because she a Jew hater. That's why she said what she said. And if you look at the statistical data points, and I'm going to let her finish, and then I'm going to show y'all the stats on why Ben Shapiro said it don't even come close. The wars, military spending, and aid that we give other countries don't come close. Wait till I read these numbers of what we've given in Social Security and also made other social programs. Socialism. Roll the clip.
With our national debt, as
hell they
opposed
do
to
by the
us
numbers. That
paying
is just
into
untrue.
the Social
You
Security
think
system.
Israel is a bigger portion of our budget than Social Security, Medicare,
I think we
Medicaid?
spend way too much money
I'm just asking
on
as a
military
mathematical
aid for
numbers
foreign
thing.
countries.
You think
Absolutely.
Israel is more
Do
than
you
Social
think
Security?
that Social Security is more of an issue compared to how much money we just shell out for conflicts abroad?
As a matter of
Look,
expenditures and math,
that
yes.
both entitlements and defense are a big issue. I actually think Ben has a
Hold
point
on.
here. I think
Stop. She said both entitlements and defense. Let me show y'all the numbers here. 20 to 22% of the federal budget is on Social Security alone. That's $1.5 trillion. Go down. 50% is other social programs that America pays into. Food stamps, all that other stuff. 50%. That alone is 75% of government spending is Social Security and government programs. You look at defense, 13% of our budget is defense. 13%. 75+% is going towards Social Security and social programs. Literally, we're a welfare state. And then you look at federal or foreign aid. We give about $72 billion in foreign aid. That's 1% of government spending. She brought up Israel, who's a part of a 1% government spending. As this is killing, we waste the money on war. Now, military defense is $962 billion, which is 13% of federal spending. That pales in comparison. It pales in comparison to what we spend on social programs. It's not even close. Why would this woman get on TV and say that? Okay, roll the clip.
the nature of aging has changed. I think retirement is evolving. I mean, my husband is 71 years old. He's still writing books. I'm 55. I hope to work for another 15 years at least. But I do think it depends on the kind of job you do. And it starts to get into the devil's in the details here, because if I'm working with my hands and I'm 65, that's a problem. Maybe technology can help, et cetera. But there's got to be some understanding of what people are doing. There's got to be probably some means testing, which gets to this point about the growing wealth divide, because there really are two Americas here.
Why are people so silly? Why do we have to disagree and be arguing over this? People need to do their research and realize that, no, it is a problem with these social programs. Do I agree 100% when Ben Shapiro say we need to raise the age of retirement? To me, it makes sense when it comes to government spending, right? Morally, should people have to be 80? If you're retiring at 70 years old, you ain't retiring. You preparing for your death. You literally are preparing for your last few years before you die. if you're working your neck off until you're 75, 80 years old. I mean, I don't know what he's proposing. 65? Yeah, something needs to change. It's been 65 for way too long. The average person lives to 80. Women live a little longer. We're giving people 20 years of 100% government-funded expenses. And I don't know if it's not a lot to ball. You're not balling. You're not really retiring. You just have some income that comes in. I don't think it's enough and sufficient for people to really, really retire. Because I don't know if you get the same, I don't know how the money is worked, but I don't know if you get the same amount fixed over several years, or do you get an increase in your Social Security? I'm not really sure. I don't get Social Security. But I know people waiting to 62. I think it was raised to 65 years old. But morally, maybe you need to tap into the capitalist system, and then you can retire at an earlier age, and the government can pay you later. I don't understand that, because if you're a type of person and you're young, you put your money in the stock market, by the time you 60, 70 years old, you're going to have some money in there. I don't care who you are. The stock market the last 30 years have grown 10% or more year over year. You just put a little bit of your check in there until you're 65, you're going to have some money. And the government shouldn't be doing this, because we're going to go bankrupt. 50% of our budget is spent to social safety nets. At what point do we lose our whole country over social safety nets? And then you got a bunch of illegals in it. Come on.